episode of Writings from the Hills. And today I'm actually going to be discussing or reading a section from The Moonshine Maker and Other True Stories. This is by Boyd Smith. As a native of Wayne County, Boyd Smith is writing about his experiences and his childhood in Appalachia. And I'm going to read a selection from chapter 2. Home is where the heart is. 1947 stayed on my mind longer than any other year when I was a kid. We counted the minutes on Daddy's pocket watch as the new year came in. It was an almost ritualistic the way we watched the minute hand circle the watch, getting closer and closer until midnight. Then it was New Year. Not long after, we had to move with a sled. An elderly couple, Charlie Lowe and his wife, lived about half a mile above the schoolhouse hollow. When Charlie died, the farm was too much for the old woman alone, so she made us an offer of $800 to buy the farm. It was supposed to have 65 acres, but it was more like 85. It was a pretty little farm, and Daddy, not wanting Grandpa to preach his funeral anymore, took the $800 in cash and paid her in front of her son, so there wouldn't be any questions later. It was called the Alva Maynard Place, but if the Lowes lived there and they sold it to us, then it should have been called the Ivan Smith Place. Nope, it's still called the Alva Maynard Place. People back there resisted change. In 500 years, it will still be the Alva Maynard Place. The porch went all the way around the house and down one end. It had beautiful shade trees in the yard. We had a well, a wash rock, which for most people would be a normal rock until you got to looking at it. It was a natural rock, about 3 foot high and about 18 inches square, and on top, sort of chiseled out, in a 6-inch indent that formed a bowl. It becomes a little wash bowl, or in this case, a wash rock. For Mommy, it was a God-given gift. For me and the younger kids, it was a place to slap the water with the flat of my hand and splash anyone walking by. There would be water in the top of the bowl, and Mommy made the most of it. Best of all was the 2-seater toilet. I still have a picture that Virgil drew of the house. It had a big, rich garden and 3 barns. The lower barn had 2 stalls and a loft. The middle barn was more for storing feed and chickens. The upper barn was log with 3 stalls and a loft. The barns had chestnut logs for the roof, and Daddy hired Brad Mathis to put in the new tin roofs on all of them. It also had a garage big enough for 1 vehicle, but we didn't have a vehicle. Daddy also got Albert Napier to build us a nice big cellar. Daddy also had a new seal put on the old house. We also grubbed the big field on the back of the hill from the house. Some of the farm was as flat as bottomland. Daddy taught me a neat way to tell when it was lunchtime. He said, when you can step on your shadow's head, it's lunchtime. It was me, Dovey, Wanda, and Virgil. But Wanda was dating Chad Atkins, and sometimes she sloughed off. Dad always took her word, but one day I was telling the truth about her sloughing off, and not me. He thought she always told the truth. That's the way I saw it. I got in more than my share of trouble, so no one believed me when I was telling the truth. They got married in 1948 and lived just across the hill from us. We always loved each other, no matter what differences we had. We all loved our new house because it was the best house we had ever had. It had a double fireplace, one side in Mom and Daddy's room and the other side in the living room. I still had to get the wood for the cook stove, and we got coal from the coal bank across the road. West Virginia is full of coal banks, and it's free. There are side mines and pit mines. You can stay away from the pit mines, but the side mines or coal banks have coal for the taking. You can get a coal pick or an ordinary rock pick and take what you need. It's there, an unending supply, and of course it is a resource for us that we had to use to our advantage. It would have been stupid not to, so we could have a coal bucket that was always full. If it got empty, 15 or 20 minutes of work was all it took to fill it up again. Daddy was too tight to buy screens, and with a dozen kids in and out, the flies were horrible. They would swamp the kitchen so bad it looked like a black tornado. When we had company, Mommy would make a fan out of twigs and leaves and stand back and wave the flies off. Sometimes I would tie a rag over my mouth and spray the kitchen down with fly killer to go back in and sweep the dead flies up. After a few days, they were right back. There was also the year of the pig. Brad Mathis had a bunch of pigs and an old hog, and there was one pig that had a lump on its navel. He said I could have that one. So I took it home and fed it and took good care of it. The bigger it grew, the smaller the lump got. I noticed Dad taking a big interest in my pig. And finally, the pig got to be a big hog without a trace of a lump. One day I was gone, and a guy bought the hog for $35. When I asked for my money, Daddy said, I raised you. Like I'd asked to be born. I didn't get his reasoning. He raised me, and I raised the pig, but he sold the pig out from under me. I didn't see one penny of that money. I could have understood killing the hog for us to eat, but selling it seemed wrong. It was like the moon pies all over. Some things that a kid just doesn't forget. Well, if you'd like to read more about Boyd Smith's time in Appalachia and his growing up, you can check this out, The Moonshine Maker and Other True Stories, by going to our website at www.briggslibrary.com. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook. Thank you.